there is something very unique and important about face-to-face communication. And that's the other thing. Companies, they want the direct feedback on their products from their customers. So it is definitely there is the B2C or business to consumer, and then also the business to business B2B aspects, and just general networking.
Welcome to an all-new episode of FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook,
I'm Eric Richardson.
and we're not alone. We've been, I think we've got a record for most guests in the first quarter of the year. First, actually, we're a little over the first quarter, I think now. So our guest
Awesome.
today is the founder of the Sim Gaming Expo, which will be in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, from September 5th through September 7th. Please welcome Jorge Anzaldo. Jorge, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Welcome.
thanks for having me, DJ and Eric. I'm really excited to be here.
I first stumbled upon, actually, Eric was the one who initially made contact with you, but I had stumbled upon your social media after you announced that Eli Singh, Punju, close friend of ours, is going to be a guest at this event. I'm like, oh, we got to check this out. And, that's kind of what drove this.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I'm so glad you guys reached out. Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do, and one of the things that we're working on right now is the outreach to the community. Really want to get the word out there, especially being a first year event. It's critical that that we connect with this community, with our audience, so that everyone knows and that they come out, because we really, this is critical, especially with a first year event, that we really make a big impression, especially to those exhibitors who've committed to attending this show. It's definitely a big financial commitment from these companies, and we're working really hard to put together a great event for them and for the community.
I mean, it's just kind of mind blowing. Like an event, it doesn't matter if you're in a conference room at the airport Holiday Inn or at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center, and I think you said about 6,000 square feet, roughly
65,000,
six
yeah,
or
yeah,
65. Yeah,
yeah,
like that's just kind of mind blowing and a little intimidating on thinking about like, hey, this is happening. Like there's obviously a point where one day you had this idea and said, you know, we need to make this happen. But like many ideas, it doesn't happen. It falls apart. It's just like, okay, this is just not feasible. How did you make this real? Like, what was your
yeah,
process through like what was your inspiration? Let's start there. like what was your inspiration to host a show like this?
yeah, absolutely. It's you know, bear with me. It's a little bit of a loaded question, because it's kind of flooding me with over 10 years of emotions. I mean, I've been an iRacing member since 2013. I own and operated the Lionheart Racing Series from 2014 to 2024. So really the idea initially came from me trying to grow the league, and I wanted to do a live event. That was one of the goals, to grow the league to the point where we can provide a space for our members to compete live on stage. As you know, the growth of esports has continued to evolve over the last decade. We've seen a lot of traction, and so that was one of the goals. We obviously took some inspiration from the Sim Racing Expo, which has been taking place in Germany for the last 10 years. They've been, again, like proof of concept. They've checked that box many times over. And then, from like a live event for the league, I thought, well, let's get the sponsors involved, and we can have them have a few stands. And it was like, well, maybe we can do this bigger. And then looking at the industry as a whole, it's like there's nothing happening here in America, or North America as a whole. Nothing. I mean, there is the PRI show, which, again, they are touching. They're starting to represent sim racing, but that is an industry only show. It is closed off to the public, and the main focus of that show is real world motorsports. So I just saw this opportunity. I saw this void, and I think, again, collectively, we've all been asking ourselves, why has this not happened? And I saw an opportunity and decided that if no one else was going to do it, that why not it be me? And so, with regards to what maybe has prepared myself, I think, just again, running the Lionheart series what we would like to have considered at a high level for that period of time, and then just kind of the grind of like trying to grow that brand and seeking out sponsorships and all these things. It put me in a position where we started to create relationships inside of the space, and so I made the conscious decision that I felt that that the industry and this community would support a show of this type. And I took the plunge. I started to seek out venues, partners, building a team. And yes, my team is built around other iRacing members, people from the simulation community. And yeah, so we made the decision. We found our venue, which is again the Schaumburg Convention Center. And last year, early in 2024, we decided to put the ink to paper, and we signed the contract and move forward. In 2024, we've put in all the hard work, and right now we're in a position where we've already begun to bring exhibitors on, and we're kind of getting our way over across the finish line. And yeah, I'm excited for September. It's this is a big thing, and again, like we need the community to support it so that we can continue to do this every year. I mean, this is kind of like our time now. That's kind of how I see it. And yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it together as a community.
It definitely sounds nerve-wracking, but super exciting at the same time.
It's got like
Yeah.
wedding planning vibes to it. So
I,
it's
I
just
mean,
like
yeah,
you
it's
you got the venue, you're signing the contract, you're throwing down a bunch of money, and just like, well, I hope this turns out okay. And
yeah, agreed. I mean, it's wild, and there are so many aspects of planning this thing, and so I mean, this event pales in comparison to the way all the work that was involved in running a league for 10 years, and it was a significant amount of work. This is something on an entirely different level. um you're right. We have media and camera and just schedule of events and coordinating, creating sponsorships, and again, the outreach. I've been reaching out to companies for probably 2 years, when it was still in the conceptual phase, like just kind of getting the feelers out there, and to obviously just at this point now that everything is built, like just continuing to reach out to companies. So it's been a wonderful journey, although again, it's had its ups and downs, it's had its challenges. We'll land a great exhibitor, and then, a day or two later, one that we maybe have been working on for a while, maybe they respond back and say that they can't do it this year. But so, like I said, it's like these peaks and valleys, but we're at a point now where we're starting to see like this nice gradual progressive upward slope and curve. And so things are things are looking really well. And I think we're going to have enough content, exhibitors, and people to have a great first show, a first year. Um, of course, I'd love to just bang it out of the park and say we have 70 exhibitors. We'll see. We have time, but I think that we'll probably round out the show for the first year with maybe 35 to 40 different brands, which again I think is it's a great foundation to build off of. I mean, the show is very ambitious. It's trying to bring in all genres of sim and the tech that's supported together under one roof, and it's something that hasn't been done before. I mean, as you guys know, the simulation genre is considered niche, and I kind of hate that coinage, but
mm,
because we are a very large community, despite that label, if you will. Um, but I do think that this is an opportunity where, yes, there maybe are other genres of sim that may not be able to support a show on their own, and so this is the opportunity to say, hey, as a collective group, let's bring it all together, under one roof, because we're all after the same thing, right? I mean, in my opinion, I feel like we're all chasing immersion. We love hardware, we love
sure.
tech, we love the feeling of being in the cockpit or driver's seat and just experiencing that from, the first person perspective, from the most immersive view. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it, and I do feel that there is a lot of crossover, and that's why I wanted to like I said, just kind of unite the entire community together. And yeah, so
And on top of
super
that too,
excited.
like, you look at the evolution of esports around the world in the last 10, 15 years. iRacing came out in 2008.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it's like I've been a big racing fan, like, oh yeah, iRacing. And I'm like, I probably don't even have a good enough computer or internet connection to make that work. So I don't even think of it. And then like one day randomly I'm talking to Eric and we were talking about this whole like, hey, we had this idea years ago at the 500 after drinking a case of Budweisers and but it didn't wouldn't have been cool if that happened. And like, well, what if we do it a different way? There's this whole iRacing thing that kind of came into the mainstream during the start of COVID and just the community we've built just running a couple of
Yeah.
leagues, a charity. We did a charity event where we raised $1,450 in one evening for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Uh, just the people we've met along the way, and it's just like these, a lot of these people. It's just like you've never anywhere remotely. Like there's people that are so vastly different from me that
Yeah.
it's like I would never hang out with this person in real life, probably, but otherwise. But it's like we have that sim racing link that
Yeah.
brings us all together and we're cracking jokes and ripping each other on Discord and having a good time and coming out here on Wednesday nights now. We just completed our 11th season of this and it's just where we've come from our parents in the 90s saying you can't make money playing video games. Like, well, now you can. Like if you watch,
Yeah.
we watched I watched the Rocket League championships on FS1 a couple weeks ago. And it's just like, this is FS1. It's like 7 o'clock on a Thursday night, and they're showing the Rocket League championships. Like, you don't have a
Yeah.
basketball game you can show. Like,
Right. Right.
ESPN in the 90s, they'd be showing like bowling or something like
Sure.
that. But now it's
Well, and
like,
not
yeah,
even
let's put the
just
Rocket
going out
League
and
on.
making money. You have colleges that are sporting
Mm,
esports teams, and you
yeah.
can get scholarships to go to college.
It's
So that's a
amazing.
huge advancement.
I mean, if,
It's
if this stuff was around when I was in college, I would have failed out. I would have failed in a heartbeat. And it's like, wow, my school has an esports lounge and an esports team. I would have been there all the time, not going to class.
Now we would have been playing games all weekend to try to get that scholarship.
We would be, college dropouts who, just playing video games instead of college grads playing video games.
it's amazing though, again, as you mentioned, the camaraderie and the relationships that get formed through sim racing, through online gaming, even through like the spirit of competition, which, as you know, I mean, sometimes things get heated, but
They do.
that's the thing that always to me like shine through, and that was the camaraderie, and that's what meant the most to me, especially, when I was competing and when I was running my league, just as you mentioned, yeah, people from all over the world, just gathering and enjoying each other's company through their love of motorsport. Uh, and again, there's really nothing like it. And I've been a motorsports fan for a long time. Grew up watching IndyCar over the years. Loved the Indy 500, and played or raced a lot of the early sims, especially those from Papyrus, which obviously the Papyrus has roots with iRacing. Um, and when I found iRacing, and it was an amazing time, and certainly there's nothing like it. I mean, we kind of get to live out our dreams and our fantasies. I mean, how many people are going to be able to do 230 miles an hour down the front stretch into turn one at Indianapolis Motor Speedway? It's it is very, 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 very few people get to do that, but
I mean, even in
we can
like,
do that,
yeah, like even in the
virtually.
90s, you go to an arcade. I'm aging myself here, I'm almost 40, close enough.
Don't
You
remind me.
go to the arcade and you'd slide in, you'd have the seat, or like at the
Yeah.
Mall of America, they have like the Daytona 500 where they have like the Daytona motion simulators, and it's like,
Oh
20,
yeah.
20, 25 years ago, like this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm just like, somebody hits me and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, whoa. And you look back on it and like, wow, that really looked like crap compared to what we have now. But in 2000, that was amazing and it was incredible.
Sure.
But it's like that was not coming, we couldn't do that at home.
You say that
Right.
with the arcade. I had fun with the Ivan Stewart off-road.
Oh, I love that. I love that title. That was fantastic. What a great game.
I mean,
Um,
Eric, how many hours do you think we wasted playing NASCAR 98 on PlayStation over the years?
Oh, way too many.
Well
And
into the
probably what
hundreds, maybe.
95% of it
Yeah.
was at Bristol.
Well, well into the hundreds, maybe a few into the thousands. Yeah.
There was a lot.
but
Uh,
what about that evolution though? You know what I mean? It's come such a long way from like the early home consoles into the arcade era through the PC and then just into, modern technology. I mean, it's really cool to see the progression that simulation, this genre has gone through, the evolution of simulation games, and it's been incredible. I think we're in a really exciting time, and obviously the future, curious to see what the next, evolution will be. But yeah, it's been a really cool journey, like seeing the progression over the years.
Yeah, it's really cool to see where everything is at now. And we're at that age that we got to see like the development of computers. I remember first racing game I had was the Indy 500, I think on DOS,
Yeah, same,
floppy
same.
disk.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to see where it's at now and that there's something coming together that shows just the technological advancements to be able to do this in the comfort of your home is amazing.
and
I know.
and it's funny too with with the whole concept of the computer and like our generation. I'm assuming you're in the same ballpark age wise as us.
I'm
Uh,
49.
okay, you're a
Yeah,
little
I'll
bit
be
older.
50
Okay,
right before the
okay,
expo.
so you're a little you got a decade on
Yeah.
us, but still okay. Our I'm still gonna you're a
Pretty close,
late
close
yeah
enough.
you're a
Yeah,
late
yeah,
so you're a late Gen X then.
yeah.
So we're early millennial, but still, like our generation, that late Gen X to early millennial, like we're the only ones that have the remote idea of how a computer works. Because
Yeah.
like, we're fixing our parents' computers, but our kids today don't know how to make their computer work. So it's like we're fixing our kids' computers, we're fixing our parents' computers. Like we're the only ones that know how a computer works.
I get that. That's true. Yeah. No, that's one of the other things too that I love about the simulation genre is that it's predominantly PC based. I mean, I've always been a big fan of computers, Eric, like you mentioned, like the DOS days and like the struggles of like getting your games to even work back then, it just yeah, it's just something. There's something about it that just it's awesome. It's the perfect platform. And then obviously nowadays, building, your own PC, and it's just it becomes part of your rig, it's part of your personality. And of course not everyone builds their own PCs, but it is one other aspect that I think is just an awesome part of this hobby. And that's one other thing, like to segue into, we'll actually have at least three custom PC builders exhibiting at the
That's
show.
very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's spin back onto that topic. Who are some of the exhibitors that have signed on to this show?
Yeah, super excited to tell you this. So with regards to the PCs, so Alexander PCs will be basically our title sponsor for our computers. They're going to provide us with like 38 gaming PCs for our esports area, our LAN gaming area. Uh, Gomez Sim Industries will be present. Husinkveld, SimuCube, SimCraft, 4D Raceware, Admin Box. Uh, we're on the cusp of, looks like maybe SimLab's going to be present, GTR Simulator, and they're going to co-exhibit with PXN. So those are kind of like a quick rundown of some of the sim racing companies. Again, as I mentioned, there'll be at least three custom PC builders. The other one is Dark Fusion Systems, Ace Computers, and then of course Alexander PCs. Um, yeah, there's Free Aim Technologies, which again, like they make these amazing. They're like VR shoes. They're shoes that have like motorized treads in them that allow you to like walk in place. It's really cool. So it's like normally with VR games, like you have the controllers and you press the button and you're like teleporting like 15 feet forward. Like with this technology, you can actually like walk inside those worlds, which there's just some cool stuff coming. And yeah, we're obviously we're super excited to bring these brands on, and there's a few more that we're working on. These things take time, it's a lot of logistics, and but yeah, I think we're gonna have some more great news in the coming weeks.
And
But yeah,
I have to imagine too, there's some skepticism from some of these vendors where you're coming in off the street and they're like,
yeah,
who are you? Like,
yep, yep,
who are you, and why should I,
yeah.
rent
Without
a U-Haul and bring all our stuff down here?
right, without a doubt, and I can in response to that, I can say that that's only fair, and I think again, this is why we're seeing such a large response from the sim racing community because again, I've had more than 10 years time in this community again, like already having formed relationships inside the space. But I've been making the rounds. I went to PRI show. I went to Germany for the Sim Racing Expo. I went to the Netherlands for Sim Formula Europe. I went to CES. So like I said, I've been to Flight Sim Expo. Like I've definitely done the traveling and to try to get the show and myself out there to meet these people in person. And I think that that definitely has had a big impact. Um, yeah, the other thing is, yes, companies, this is kind of the biggest issue is that a lot of times with shows, it to me it seems like it's the fear of missing out. That's kind of what sometimes motivates companies to attend. And so you'll have like two companies and they're each kind of like sitting on the fence and they're like kind of shouting to the other one, "Hey, you jump in first. No, you jump in first," and it's like guys, but I want to give them both a push. Like everybody, come on. Like it's going to be
Yeah,
great.
you don't want to be
But
the last
yeah.
one in. Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
miss it. Yeah, it's
You know, it
But
takes some of those
yeah.
companies too. If they're hanging out looking at this and they see these others coming in, like, well, you're right. We don't want to miss out. What if we generate sales out of this? Make
Absolutely.
our trip tenfold.
Yeah, and definitely, there's nothing like connecting face to face, especially with your target audience. And I think that because of the first wave of exhibitors that we've been able to bring on, this is what is starting to tip the scales and creating that legitimacy and taking the apprehension out of a lot of companies because now the trust is starting to build. But that's the thing. That's again, like you asked, like what are some of the challenges, and that has definitely been one of them, which is, being a first year event, building up that trust. What I can say is that with regards to logistics, we have a great partner. It's actually the owner of a company called Source One Events. What they are is they're a general service contractor for the trade show industry. They have about 30 years of experience. So all of the little nuances with regards to putting a show on, logistics, material handling, shipping, warehouse, capabilities, print services, like they do it all. They do signage and banners and rigging, and they run the power. Like they have taken a tremendous weight off of my shoulders as the show promoter. And again, like partnering with them and their owner has just it's been phenomenal. I don't think that the show would be where it's at without them. So that is one thing certainly like exhibitors can put their mind at ease that we do have a team backing us with a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge and experience. Um, yeah, so with regards again like to logistics, like that is one of the huge things that that's going to be taken care of. And also like partnering with them, they have like all the equipment and they know all the tricks of like how to make a show look good. And so like those are a lot of the things that they're bringing to the table, like our show floor. Our show floor will be entirely carpeted. A lot of shows, like first year shows, you're walking on polished concrete floor and that hurts for 3 days.
yeah.
So yeah, our show
I've
floor will be carpeted. Yeah, we've got
I've
some
got a
cool things.
yeah, I've got a collection of trade show badges over the years, and there's certain ones that, I mean, the location obviously is a huge that, I'm not going to single out any cities, but there's certain cities where it's like, yeah, I would love to go to a show there. There's other
Yeah.
cities where I come up and I go to like my industry show, and I'm like, really, that there? But then you see like,
That's kind of
oh,
mine this year, looking and seeing where it's at. Like, yeah, I don't really feel like going there.
mm,
But last year, like, I'm all about that one.
yeah, it's like I've had, it's like, oh, look, we're in New Orleans this year. Oh, that's trouble. Oh, we're in Las Vegas. Oh, that's trouble. Oh, we're in Anaheim. Oh, more trouble. Yeah, but yeah, Chicago is obviously it's a great city. Not during the winter, but still like from like Memorial Day to a little after Labor Day. Great place. Love it. You know,
Yeah,
if it was that weather year round, I'd probably still be living there. It's just
sure.
the November through
Yeah,
February.
yeah. The winters are pretty brutal, but yeah, we'll still have a little bit of the warm weather being in September, and I think honestly, like it's a perfect location. Chicago it's centrally located inside of the country. There's so many direct flights right into O'Hare,
Mm.
and the venue is about 20 minutes west of Chicago O'Hare International Airport. So again, like logistics, when you think of exhibitors shipping their materials in, so many direct flights because it is an international airport. And then again, just Chicago being centrally located. And again, like I know, like I won't sit here and say like, sure, like Chicago sometimes gets a little bit of a bad rap, but it is a great city. There are so many wonderful things to see and do here. And then also, our venue is in the beautiful suburb of Schaumburg. So if someone, if like, if that is kind of like a stigma, oh, Chicago, um, you're going to be far
Yeah,
away from there.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, like you said, you're
but
20 miles, the
yeah,
like the airport is the very for those who are not familiar, O'Hare is
yeah,
the edge of Chicago, like the very
correct.
edge. Like they annexed like the little stretch of highway from the main part of Chicago up to the airport so they could say that it's Chicago. You're
Yeah,
on the fringe of it, and then you're going another 20 miles west.
yeah,
So you're
yeah,
you're well clear of the city.
yeah. And you know what, Schaumburg, there's so much to see and do in that suburb. It's actually the convention center is situated inside of an entertainment district. So there's additional hotels and restaurants and nightlife. So this, I don't know if it's going to be completed in time, but this is kind of, if not for this year, for next year, literally like right next door. They're actually building a pedestrian tunnel from like the main parking garage to the convention center. They're building a 90,000 square foot Andretti karting and games
Mm, we
facility
just we
right
just
next
opened we
door.
just opened ours like 5 minutes from here. It's great.
Yeah, yeah.
They they had a bit of an incident with their it sounded like a bad software push, and actually like they were shut down. They had to close for a day and a half,
Oh,
and when they
wow.
reopened
Wow.
again, they could only do like free play in the arcade, and they only had like certain packages. But I mean, they're back up and running again. But
Yeah,
it's a great facility. They have like a little
yeah,
karting area for young kids, and then they've got the full, the electric
yeah.
carts for the adults, and it's a lot of fun.
It'll be a huge draw. There's also like Top Golf, there's medieval, there's so much to do. So, like, obviously, people come enjoy the show, like see everything the show has to offer, and then like towards the evenings there'll be so much other cool stuff to do. So I think honestly, I think people can make like a really nice short vacation out of it, and they'll have a great time.
So the week
Yeah, it's one of the
after
nice
Labor
things
Day,
with
hopefully.
shows. You pick a good city and good spot with countless other things to do, and it's not just the show that makes it worth it, but it's that plus getting other experiences that can really help draw those, I guess, attendees in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the other things that we're doing too is we're trying to encourage families to attend, and so like kids 12 and under are free, up to two with each paid adult admission. Obviously six and under you don't even have to register. But yeah, so we're trying to have like something for everyone. We're in talks with GTR Simulator. It looks like they may possibly provide us with five turnkey simulators, which would be set up for kind of like a kid zone. Because of course, if families come, you're going to have some probably younger kids that they're going to see these amazing like motion sims, and they're not designed for a younger audience. So that's something that we want to do. Is provide kind of like a kids area, if you will, just to kind of again like kind of have something for everyone. So that's one of the other things that we're considering doing.
Very cool. That's I said this before that it's like, oh, I have a wedding that weekend. Otherwise, I would make a much harder push to go, and I was making a push to go, and I was told, no,
Yeah.
you're not missing
No,
this.
I mean I completely understand, but I guess my message to all the other sim racers, the sim enthusiasts, is that if if you can, definitely try to make it. I'm kind of like calling this, if you will, like a pilgrimage for sim enthusiasts, you know. It's kind of one of these things that if you can make it, definitely, make your best efforts. And so here's the thing, and again, I'm a realist. I know how much this equipment costs. I've been a part of this community, and I know like how everyone, we're all looking for the next best upgrade. And it is a commitment to travel, for the hotel. And so yeah, like it for some there may be a tough decision. Like do I buy that awesome set of pedals, or do I, make the effort to come to this event? And so, that's kind of my thing that I would respond is that it's not just about coming and seeing the gear, which of course, that is a main draw, but it is the experience, and it is the opportunity again to, we don't always have an opportunity to meet our friends that we've, created, and all these bonds that have been formed through the years, through sim racing and other forms of gaming and simulation. So it's a big opportunity, and I hope that people see that and see the value in that. And just, yeah, if you can come out, we'd love to have you. Help us build something. As I mentioned, we really we have to make a big splash. We have to make a statement. And if we're able to do it, I guarantee you the companies are going to come back year after year. And then if you can't make it this year, we're kind of, as a community, we're setting ourselves up to do this year after year. And the bigger it gets, the more we're able to scale, the more we're able to get back, just the cooler things that we can do. So yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, just calling on the help from
Start
everyone. Yeah,
start
as a
penciling it in for next year.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
Eric,
already want to pencil in.
I was about to say we've been looking for an excuse to do our first live show, and
Yeah, we're gonna have a podcast booth. So
Yeah, we've been talking and coming up with options of, well, we should do it down around Indianapolis, or maybe both gonna be down there for Battle of the Bricks or something, or
figure
be a great
yeah.
excuse to let's go to Chicago and do this.
yeah, yeah, we're gonna have a custom podcast booth, which basically the idea would be about a 20 by 20, so about 400 square feet, fully like turnkey. So podcast groups could come in, basically walk in, and like you guys know how to turn all the switches and do what you need to do. And so yeah, so we would have scheduled times where various groups are hosting sessions throughout the event. And so yeah, we've got a couple other podcast groups that will be in attendance. And yeah, we're looking to obviously add some more to the mix. And yeah, if definitely, if not this year, we'd love to have you out next year for sure.
Get that penciled in. So let's start working on the
Absolutely.
permission now.
Yeah,
I was already working on that earlier today.
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
it's yeah. Maybe if I say like, "Hey, I've been invited as a guest of honor,"
There you go. We'd be more than
this is
happy to
great.
do that. Yeah,
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 I'll have to
yeah.
sell it a little bit, but uh, so I mean, you kind of answered the last question already, but you pitched it pretty darn well. I mean, I'm convinced. I don't, Eric, I don't know about you, but I'm convinced.
Yeah, I want to go check it out. It sounds
Yeah.
really cool, and I think being able to just meet other people that do what we do and get some ideas or just share, yeah, this hasn't worked. What about
Yeah.
this? Just being
Yeah.
able to have those face-to-face connections. And then I know at conventions, the show ends that day, and then it's fun. The group that you met up with earlier, like, hey, let's go get together
Brewskis.
afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
let's
like
go.
there, yeah, there's Top Golf just down the road, which I think would be a lot of fun. And we're working on maybe trying to do and create some type of after party
Oh,
that would take place right there at the convention center. There's a beautiful like foyer on the second floor with like windows, and it's just beautiful. And so that's kind of the idea, is maybe we would do kind of like a cocktail hour with, hors d'oeuvres, or just,
it's
some type of food. And
the
just like, yeah, everyone come and like, let's have a kind of like
the
an after party,
the the best trade shows I've ever been to at like 4 o'clock. The shows I typically go to are like 9 to 5 or whatever, and at four
Sure.
o'clock, here comes the whole staff, each of them pushing a cart full of ice and beers, and they just line the rows up, and they're just standing there like, okay, here you go, here you go,
Nice.
here you go, and you continue on for that last hour, but you got a beer in hand, talking to, and that's like that's my favorite part. And then then the real party begins after.
There you go. Yeah. No, I think, again, as you mentioned, Eric, there is something very unique and important about face-to-face communication. And that's the other thing. Companies, they want the direct feedback on their products from their customers. So it is definitely there is the B2C, or business to consumer, and then also the business to business, B2B aspects, and just general networking. Again, if you're an esports team and you were hoping to connect with a particular brand, this is the place to do it, and it's the time, because I'll tell you, just from my own outreach to companies, a lot of times I don't necessarily have the direct channels to marketing. It's sometimes like that's all you get. You see a website and it's a support at or info at, and it just gets buried with 1,000 other emails that are coming through. But
Odds are it ends up in their spam box, so they
yeah,
never see it.
so when you attend these shows, it is a very unique opportunity to network, and that's the place to do it. So yeah, there's definitely some opportunities, and there are so many benefits to attending these types of shows and meeting with people face to face.
All right. So, Jorge, again, that's the Sim Gaming Expo in Schaumburg, Illinois, outside of Chicago from September 5th through September 7th. If you have a few minutes, if you want to hang around with us, we're going to do our usual off-topic banter
Yeah,
and talk about the weekend in motorsports. Feel free to join us.
sure. I'd love to.
All
Thanks.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good luck to you with the show. Wish we could be there with you this year, but we'll make sure to get that penciled in for next year.
Yeah, no worries. And again, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about the show. And again, just appreciate your help in helping get the word out there. It's really important. And yeah, I look forward to seeing everyone there in September.
Yeah, it's fun just hearing the kind of firsthand information about it. I want to find a way to do it next year. It
Nice.
sounds really fun, really interesting, and I can see so many options of how this can build for you.
Yeah,
Really turn
no
into
doubt.
just
Yeah,
something spectacular.
yeah, and I mean, really for all of us, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, this is kind of, again, just in closing, this was an opportunity for me to do something on a bigger scale, because that that's what I gained most out of my time running my league, which was, I got to experience and enjoy that shared passion with all of those guys, and gals that participated in the league. And so this is that on just so much higher of a level. Now I can share like my passions with the entire sim community, and yeah, it's an opportunity to give back, and it's like seeing people happy, and just engaging with this stuff that they love. It just comes back to me like 100-fold. So yeah, I love bringing people together. I'm a people person by nature. I may have mentioned, in the pre-show, I'm a paramedic. I help people. It's kind of what I've been doing for almost 30 years now. And again, it's just that on just a different level. And again, I love trade shows, and I love hanging out with people and meeting new people, and this is really a unique opportunity to do that. So yes, this thing is definitely for all of us.
Very cool.
All right.
Awesome.
So, Eric, I'm going to change it up. I very nearly pulled an April Fool's prank on our indie racing league.
That would have been
if
funny if you
if if
had.
if I would have thought of it like 2 hours before, I would have had time, but I thought of it 30 minutes before our normal time. So we were off this week. And I said, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if I go and post results from a race where I'm the only one listed?" And I said that I was the only one who showed up, so I win by default. No, by the way, it was a double points bonus race, so I'm right back. I'm in the lead now. And uh and and I'm just like, I thought of this like 30 minutes before the race would have started. I'm like, I don't have enough time to pull this off. And so I told the group, and I'm like, I was thinking this, and the first response I get was, that would be just diabolical if you would have done that.
It would have
And
been hilarious if it come from me though, since I joke all the time. If I get a lap down, I'm going to throw a caution just because.
we were talking about that on the broadcast tonight on the Wednesday broadcast about throwing a caution to get me back on the lead lap. I'm like, I would do that, but Eric might on Tuesdays, but
I joke about it all the time, and
but
no, I'm not going to
I'm
do
not.
that.
No, we finished our league race this season Wednesday night, and it did not go very well.
Start was a little rough. I think
It
what for the
was
second time we did our oopsie.
we almost made it through a season without a oh crap caution that we put in our rules that if if we screw up, if we wreck out half the field, we're gonna throw a caution reset, and we did that
Yeah.
on lap one. But we had our big oops moment, and like, wow, we're gonna make it through an entire season without having to do that. And I spoke too soon. And
What track? What track were you
Texas.
guys? Texas.
Texas.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
It
good one.
was it was coming out of off the backstretch, getting ready to enter turn three.
Yep.
Two people kind of fighting for the same spot, and it just triggered
I just saw
chaos.
cars
Yeah.
flying in my rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Almost made it out. I actually got clipped by one of the secondary wreckers. And oh, by the way, it was Garrett because every time I get in a wreck, Garrett is the one who hits every single time.
It's funny. It feels like that's how our league works. Two drivers always get into it somehow.
Actually, Garrett made some comment of like, I didn't get into you in Atlanta. That wasn't me. And I'm like, yeah, I know it wasn't you. Then it happens this week. But like,
That's
whatever.
the beauty of league racing, though, like the rivalries and just the battles that you have week after week with the same people. It's really cool, and it's just one of the dynamics that I loved about the league format is just you just you get to know the people around
Yeah.
you and their
Oh
their
yeah.
tendencies and all these like little intricacies of their driving styles and habits, and it's awesome. I love the league format. I think I mean, again, it mirrors a real world championship, where you're racing with the same people week in, week out. So I love it.
In
Yeah, we've
three and a
had
half
some drivers
years,
with us a long time now.
yeah, and in 3.5 years on the platform, I've done 10 official races, 10 or 11 official races,
Yeah,
but I've done either between league and hosted races, probably pushing 150 or so now.
sure.
And
Yeah,
I just find like the official in iRacing, it's so easy to be super toxic, or you get somebody out there who's just having a bad day and decides that they're just going to ruin it for everybody. And in the league format, you're not going to do that because generally you're not going to do that because you're coming back week after week with these same
right.
people and you don't want them, upset at you. But
Yeah,
there's sometimes some exceptions, or you get some people that come in and then you
yeah,
never hear from them again after a couple of oops moments. But you know,
yeah.
get
No,
that
it's
core.
it's yeah, it's definitely it's something that you're right. A lot of the public lobbies there from time to time you know, there is some toxicity. I mean, honestly, that is what drove me to start my own league. Like I wanted to do something different. Yeah, and then just again like race with the same group of people. Um, but yeah, it's fun. I enjoy the league format. I mean, of course, like the public lobbies are, you can still have some really great racing. I mean, obviously the strength of field races can put on some really great shows.
Never
But
know who you might run into in an open session, in an
sure,
official session. It's
yeah,
Eric, you had
yeah,
your butt kicked by Tony Kanaan one time, and
Yep. I was with Tony Kanaan and a Delara Dash, and you're right, not every public race is toxic or like, oh man, get me out of here. I've had some really just amazing races where it's close racing, good battles, and then the drivers are helping each other afterwards.
yeah,
So it's really fun when you do come across one of those.
yeah. And I love also too, like, I mean, yes, you get that as well with the various seasons, but with regards to the league format, I love the sense of a long drawn out championship where you're following the points and again even all throughout the field, like you're battling with other people and you want to beat your competitors, so you're just watching that leaderboard all season long, and it's really cool to, again, like I said, just to kind of emulate what the real world guys are doing week in and week out.
we take the opposite approach, and we do 3 seasons a year, 10
Okay.
races each, and we switch it up. So we just finished our Cup series. We're in a couple weeks. We're switching over to trucks. In the fall, we switch over to Xfinity, and so one, it creates some variety.
Yeah.
Because some people are better in trucks than they are in the next gen car. It keeps them short. That it's like, okay, like one of our longtime drivers had some work schedule conflicts, had to sit out this season. He's planning on being back for trucks. If you had a 30 race season and you can't make the first 10, you're probably not going to come
Oh
back for
yeah.
the last 20. I'd rather have him for the last 20 and miss out on the first than not at all.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's we've tried that format, and it took a while to build that core. We had Eric, we had many races where we had six, seven,
Yeah, five,
nine,
6 people.
yeah, five people in a
Yeah.
couple of cases, and finally, like one day it just clicked, and then now we're running fields of 15 to 18. We've had 20 plus in fields consistently every week, and it's the same people are coming back season after season, and it's just like this is great. We've got different skill levels in here. That's fine. You're not
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna be running in the front, but there's we try to vary it up enough that like we have those moments. You get that Daytona race in there where the
Mm.
guy who is clearly the most talented of everybody in the field, or in Atlanta rather, ends up in the first wreck, ends up finishing like second to last that week. And so, it's like that happens. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
great thing about racing. It's like they didn't kick Richard Petty out because he was kicking everybody's butt every week. It just
Right.
made people better. It made them try harder. And you have races where, hey, someone turned him into a wall and he's done. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
looking at
it's,
the races from when it started and now the drivers that have been there, times that we're doing now, we're still qualifying 10th, and it would have been night and day pull
Yeah. No, not even
even just a year
close.
ago.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I mean, again, like in the league format, you just the race, every race matters,
Mm,
and you're always trying to prepare yourself because again, like the person who, you might have a couple aliens in there and yeah, they might have a bad night, but if you're not, if you're not practicing, you're not preparing yourself and putting yourself in a position where if they do have a bad night, then you know what I mean? You're ready to take that opportunity. Yeah, that's what I loved about it. Our guys were always practicing, and again, like the races mattered, and just really looking forward. I mean, that again, like there's nothing like leagues, in my opinion, and yeah, I always love the anticipation of like, oh, it's race week, and like we've been prepping, all week long, or in some cases, like for road courses, we would take like 2 weeks,
it's what we do the
just
same thing. We always give
yeah,
an extra week for the road course week.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and on top of that too, it's like, we've created, it's not just a couple of, a handful of guys getting together racing once a week. Like we turned it into, a full production. You got the broadcast, we've got people tuning in, we've got over 100 people tuning in watching. Like who's
awesome,
watching this? It's like, but they are. And, and then it's like, okay, we took it to the next level and we're putting out like weekly trailers telling the story of the season throughout the thing. And, you're creating these personalities and, these, it's a story. Like you've turned it
yeah,
into this story that you're telling in the process of, this is like, okay, it's a video game. Like, okay, that's boring. But it's like I've told this story about how this guy, coming in from North Carolina and has built his sim racing reputation and is now competing for the championship, and it's live. Families tuning in and watching it, and family members and friends are cheering on their driver, and it's like there's like fans, and some of these drivers
yeah.
have merchandise and they have real sponsors, and it's like it's
This,
just
yeah,
it's so rewarding to just see this all come together. It,
that's
it
the
took a
beauty of it.
long time, but it came
Yeah.
together.
That's the beauty of it. And you guys, yeah, building that momentum. And again, like where else in gaming is this happening? Like you mentioned, like you're getting, I mean, yeah, there's other forms of gaming where you have sponsors, but again, like these drivers are becoming part of that story. There are fans, there's people following, there's just so much. There's so many like levels of detail when you look at sim racing and like a championship season through the league format. It's just awesome. Again, there's really not many other experiences like that in gaming. So that's what I love about simulation. That's what I love about sim racing.
The first time we made any money, the first thing I did was text my parents, like, you remember the whole thing about you can't make money playing video games? Well,
It
you're
just did.
wrong. You are wrong. I don't know. I mean, did you get that lecture as a kid? Because I certainly did. I
Oh, I'm
You
sure I
know,
did at some point.
I did, and it's just
yeah.
yeah, it's just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna prove you wrong.
I mean, and look at what's happening. The E to real or virtual to
Oh yeah.
real for real world motorsports. I mean, it's you know, for people to be able to take their talents that they've learned and honed through sim racing, through virtual motorsport, and take that to a physical real world track, it's beautiful. And it's so exciting to see. And then not only that, but just the STEM applications. People who have found things that they've been excited, like they're going to college and becoming engineers. It just there's so much that translates. You have setup shops that are owned by people who went to engineering school and they're using what they learned in school and turning that into like a business format. There's so many layers
It's
and
unreal.
it's all beautiful.
It is. It's just
I
it's the
love it.
momentum, and uh, it's just it all kind of turned at the start of the pandemic when everybody's sitting at home and people are out of work, people have nothing to do. Um, and all of a sudden we're turning on the TV and here's Mike Joy calling NASCAR drivers driving on this made up Chicago street course, and now all of a sudden it's like this is a real race now. Like this is real. Like this was kind of created as a joke, and now all of a sudden it's like this is a real thing, and it like produced one of the best races of the year. Actually, it's the 2 years in a row it produced one of the best races of the year, and it's just like, man,
I think,
well,
yeah,
iRacing made that happen.
no, I think the takeaway is great racing is great racing, and as fans, whether it's virtual or real, if you're seeing exciting action on track, it's you know, it's worth watching. And with regards to the pandemic, of course, because I had been involved with iRacing prior to that, I think that like all those things that we've been talking about, like that was already present, but certainly like what happened with the pandemic, it kind of gave sim racing the shot in the arm, so to
Yeah.
speak, that
Mhm.
that just really brought it to the forefront of people's
Yeah,
minds. I
I mean,
mean,
it legitimized it.
yes,
It,
agreed.
I mean, before, you had William Byron come out of there. Raja Caruth has come out of there. There's, Ty Majeski is like one of the highest ranked oval drivers in all of iRacing and just won the Truck Series last year. These guys
Amazing.
are turning it
Amazing.
into a career and into, Byron almost won a championship. It's,
Yeah.
Raja Caruth has won a truck race. Yeah, it's like these guys not that long ago had their G920 hooked to a desk, and now they're doing it in real life and winning and
It's beautiful.
being at the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah. It's
I
so
just wish I
exciting.
was younger.
I know.
Yeah. 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 No, it's been incredible to see the growth, of the industry as a whole. And again, I think that there's so many more great things yet to come. Yeah, there's obviously there's other platforms of sim racing that are continuing to come out. I mean, I feel so strongly with regards to the iRacing platform, and again, it's what I've been involved with for so long. But yeah, there definitely has been some tremendous growth, and I think that we're only going to see it continue to evolve over the next couple of years.
Oh, for
I,
sure.
yeah. It's just, and and you're hearing about these tracks, like, if it wasn't for, I mean, there's some amazing tracks. It's like I had honestly, like, I'm not from the Northeast. I had heard Lime Rock Park mentioned. And now it's just like I want to go to Lime Rock Park. I want to see a race at Lime Rock
Yeah,
Park. And it's like, but if it
Trucks.
wasn't for that, I've never heard of it.
think about the tracks that were saved
Yes.
because they were laser scanned by iRacing. I mean,
I
how
mean,
about that?
yeah, you look at Concord and what's the one from Australia?
USA Speedway, I think, as well.
USA is
Yeah.
out. Yeah, the what's the one in Australia? I'm drawing a blank. Someone they do a lot of Formula V and Mazda. Um,
That's a good question. It's
oh,
I'm drawing a blank, but
It's not the Oran Park, is it?
Oran Park. Thank you. Yes,
there you
very
go.
yeah,
Wow.
well done.
Hold that one.
Yes, well
There
good.
you
Well
go.
done. Yeah, Oran Park is now a neighborhood. It's like it's a shame that it's went that way, but at the same time, Eric and I grew up what 10 minutes from Kokomo Speedway.
Yeah, if that.
And yeah, I've honestly, like, I'm ashamed to admit I had never, like, dirt racing really never interested me. I was always going to the Motor Speedway as a kid. I
I
never
never
went.
went to Kokomo, but I've been to countless races over in Logansport.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like you see like Kokomo Speedway on this, and you go into iRacing, and you're looking at these signs and these billboards, and you have like these small town businesses that we saw growing up, billboards in the background of iRacing, like, oh yeah. It's just
Know
it's
that
so
place?
so crazy that it's just like our little hometown speedway dirt track, world famous dirt track, I guess, is in a video game. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
unreal.
It's almost as if that, in some ways that it's like a preservation effort, and maybe they don't realize it at the time, but the fact that, yeah, some of these tracks were thankfully, laser scanned and at least we can enjoy them in the virtual world. So yeah, it's important work that they've done.
All right, real quick, racing schedule for this weekend. We've got Formula One heading to Japan for another late night race. Eric, you gonna stay up for that one?
Oh, I'm sure I will. What else am I gonna do?
It's I think a 1 a.m. start for you Sunday morning. So
I'm usually up till 3, so that's perfect.
yeah, I guess that's a good point. I am not the night owl I once was, but
I'm probably worse now.
yeah, you are definitely worse. But it's the time zone shift is like, okay, I'll text Eric at like midnight my time, so it's 3 a.m. his time, and he responds back like that. I'm like, what are you still doing awake?
Yes, I'm still up and I'm still doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I will text him at midnight, 3 a.m. his time, and he responds in like 5 seconds. I'm like, what?
Priorities, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm usually very the same way, I'll have my phone near me. And, the funny thing is I kind of have an internal, because you mentioned like 3 a.m. And so I'm kind of cursed now. I have this internal clock where a lot of times in the middle of the night, I'm waking up at 3 in the morning. And typically that's because that's like the morning time
mm,
for people in Europe. So like I'm checking my phone to see if a new email, that I've been responded to. So it's like now I'm stuck. Like I'm waking up at like 3 in the morning every night because I'm just like, oh, did we get some new news? But yeah, I like I said, I've always kind of been a night owl and just
it,
yeah.
it drives my wife nuts. I actually keep a notebook on my nightstand next to my bed with a pen, and I'll like wake up randomly at 3 a.m. with and have this like idea that just like it's just the weird like I wake up like that's brilliant. That's great. And then I'll like pull up the notebook and I'll start writing it down. And I'll just wake her up like, what are you doing? I'm like, I had an idea. Like, go back
That's
to
the
bed.
way to do it
But
because yeah,
And then the real challenge is when I wake up a few hours later, can I read my handwriting from 3 a.m.? That's that. And I'm like, what? Yeah, there was a Seinfeld episode like that where Jerry woke up in the middle of the night with this great joke and he wrote it down, and the next morning he couldn't read the joke. He couldn't read his handwriting. And he was like driving himself nuts trying to figure out what the joke was. And he finally did at the end. He's like, that's not funny. No, no.
that's
Like I've
awesome.
I've had many moments like that with ideas, and
Yeah.
it probably drives. I mean, it's our wives. I'll text Eric. I'll text in this random idea like in the middle of the night, and I'll get a text like, "What are you texting Eric again?" I'm like, yeah. Like,
I
we're
pretty
good.
much get the same thing.
We get
Yeah.
the flow of idea exchange. So it's But anyway, Formula One this weekend, Japan. Yuki Tsunoda is going to the big team.
Yeah, it's the big storyline.
Did you see Isaac Hajar broke the car during the street demo?
Yep.
Broke his front wing off. He's not having a
I
good
did see Red Bull is talking too that they're gonna make the second car easier to drive because maybe it was too difficult.
Oh, you don't say.
And I did
It's
see Checo is possibly in talks with Cadillac for
Yeah,
next
I
year.
I think that makes sense.
Wow.
That makes sense. It's
And I
just
guess it's kind of far along. So we'll see.
I mean,
It's still early.
you could do I don't think you could do much better than him, but you could do far worse signing a
Yes.
driver. And it's just like the guy didn't forget how to drive. Like he knows how to drive. Like it's just unfortunate how his Red Bull career just kind of fell apart like it did.
And if Yuki proves it's the car, then it kind of vindicates him, I think.
Yeah. Um, and then I had to place an order to Target, and I needed to get it above $35, and I was short. I'm like, no, I gotta find something. And I could have bought something practical like paper towels or things I actually need. But no, no, no.
Nice.
Practical.
I mean, it's practical for me, but my my kid is my wife is not observant. My one of my kids is super observant, and this was sitting like tucked on the floor, like in the corner here. And she comes home from school and she comes walking upstairs. I'm sitting here working. She comes walking. She's like, "You bought another Lego?" And I'm just like, "How did you see that? It's like tucked in the corner over there. Like,
No, that's been sitting there.
just shut up and don't tell your mom. Like, come on. Like, you're gonna get me in trouble here." But I will be in big trouble once I pulled a prank on her. She does not know it yet, but she will find out soon. And I'm not afraid to tell it because one, she doesn't listen. And two, by the time this airs, she'll probably have found out. And so what I did was I took her iPad and we have this shared playlist in the car. We have CarPlay plug in. We have the shared playlist, and it puts the picture of the person who added the song. So I took her iPad and I went into her Apple Music app and I added like hundreds of Yoko Ono songs to the playlist. So when it comes up on the playlist, it'll put her picture. And I, it's just like, I mean, this isn't very nice, but like, Yoko Ono covered her late husband, John Lennon's Imagine. And it's so bad. It's so bad. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh, I hope this comes on in the car because she's just gonna look at me and I'm gonna like, why did you add that to the playlist? Your picture is associated with that, and try to get her to defend that. And
But at some point here in a couple days, I don't hear from you for a while. I know what happened.
but yeah, so we're gonna the day before this airs, we usually go out to dinner. And on the way out there, we'll have the playlist on, and more than likely, I put 100 songs on a playlist that already had like 200. So there's like a 1 in 3 chance that a Yoko Ono song will be the next song that plays, and I'm really looking forward to this. So, but yes, I
Nice.
might be in trouble this weekend.
Probably.
I love it. That's
All right,
incredible.
Martinsville. Martinsville was interesting. We'll get real
That's
quick.
a whole other show
We
for
might
you.
have to, yeah, we might have to save that discussion for next week. But the Xfinity drivers have a drivers only meeting with NASCAR this weekend before the race.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, so
The
that
drivers call it or NASCAR call it?
NASCAR called it.
Yeah, they needed to.
Yeah, it's out of control, and
When
uh,
everybody's talking about just how bad and embarrassing
yeah,
it was bad.
uh, Mike Joy on the Sunday race, I'm pretty sure referred to the race as a dumpster fire.
It was what, 250 laps and 102 of it was run under caution.
I didn't see what the final number was, but I knew it was
I think
high.
that's what I caught.
Oh,
Sheldon Creed's even joking, like, can we run more than 5 laps? And he
what's
gets second again.
Yeah, he gets second again, Mr. Second Place. And Austin
He was
Hill
happy
ends up.
this time.
So it's funny too, like that whole feud, or it looked like a feud with Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed happened a few years ago when Creed was racing for the win and took out Hill, and they both missed the championship four because of it. And Austin Hill in his post race said, like, looking back, I feel really bad that I did that to him, but like him and I were cool. And like we go out and drink beers like every weekend after the race. So like we've been cool for quite a while, and it's like it's good to hear that. I mean, it's just that was really ugly how that ended his time with at RCR, and yeah, nobody looked good coming out of there. Just with what was it, Andy Petrie, I think it was, he just like ripped him a new one, and that got a whole a reporter caught that on camera, and Creed just kind of like trying to win.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
So
Denny Hamlin
fun
wins.
to see. It was going well until he pulled out his flag.
Yeah, Denny was the 11. What's it say? 11 versus the world.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh boy.
And he said during his post race interview, and he's like, "My superpower is, crap talking, and if I can't do that, I don't have my power." It's like, and it's like I don't mean anything by it, but it's like if you play tennis with me, you play pickleball, you play golf with me, you're on the racetrack with me. That's what I do.
It's so funny. I don't like Denny Hamlin as a race car driver, but I agree with him so much on
Uh,
his podcast.
yeah,
Stop
and
saying things
like
I agree with.
and he was cool to my kids too. The
That
other
is cool.
week. Yeah, like he was cool. Like, there were drivers that just, they kind of quickly went through and they signed and they were pleasant and they went on their way. But like he was there. He made an effort and talked to the kids while he was signing and yeah, it was super cool. And it's just fun. It just kind of further like vindicates me dragging my kids to the racetrack just to see those positive experiences happen with them. And my wife hates going and but
It's nice when the drivers engage,
yeah, oh yeah.
and that's really what makes things memorable, and I think what, just kind of strengthens like your following of a particular driver when they actually, pay you or like you said, like your kids some attention. Yeah, we went to Milwaukee. This was a while ago, and this was not too long after Ryan Hunter-Reay won the Indy 500, and yeah, stopped and he was getting ready to go for qualifying, and people were like stopping him, and I didn't realize he was running for qualifying at the time, and I was just like, oh, because my
Yeah.
younger son, he was very little at the time, but he loved Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he stopped what he was doing, and took a picture there, and I mean, it was just like. Then I realized, oh man, that's where all these guys are running to go qualify.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, and I've
it's just
heard,
special when drivers
yeah,
take
and,
time.
and I
Yeah,
and I've heard like Hunter Ray is not, and he's said before, he's not like the most social, outgoing personality in the series. And but still, like you could see, like they make like, and you could tell which drivers are very outgoing and which are not. And but they all make a really good effort to interact with the fans, to interact with the
yeah,
kids, and they do like IndyCar does a great job too with that, and it's great, and even more NHRA. Like I don't really follow drag racing, but it's like the drivers just kind of mingling out there with
yeah,
people the whole time, and it's so cool, and that's just what makes it so unique compared to every other sport out there.
yeah. I've heard IMSA. I've always heard a lot of things about the fan experience and that they're very um inviting to like fans, like even like having them on the in the grid and just yeah, very engaging with their fans. So that's something that I've heard
We've
of
heard
as
that a
well.
lot with
Yeah,
our drivers. We've had a lot of them that have been to Indy, Battle on the Bricks, or even the Daytona 24. The
yeah,
They
they've all
come,
had great things to say.
yeah, they come away with like a broken part of the car,
that's cool.
after the Rolex 24. It's like, what? I want a part of the car. I part of me actually, I would have gotten so much trouble if I would have done this. But after the Phoenix race, Hendrick sells all the like the race used tires, and I almost bought my kid the one of the Kyle Larson race used tires from the Phoenix race, and I didn't because I would have gotten myself in big trouble had I done that. But see, the
Have you
thing
seen
with
what yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry. The thing with racing tires, and I have a Formula One tire from the early '90s. What you do is you
Awesome.
you go out to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, one of those craft stores, and you get a big round piece of glass,
Yes, that's what I was
and
gonna
you just
say.
you just set
Yes.
it right on top of the tire, and now you've got a coffee table. And
Yep.
it's in the garage because uh, I used to have it in the basement of my old house in Illinois, but when we moved here, the first that is not coming in the house. So it's a yeah, I have a Formula One tire in my garage,
That's cool.
but
Yeah. I
maybe one
love
day.
I mean I love that stuff. I love all that kind of memorabilia like in my office slash like kind of race room. I've kind of collected a number of like posters and just artwork from motorsports and kind of hung that up and yeah.
I this Kimi Räikkönen, it's the just leave me alone. I know what to do. I bought that actually when I first started working from home at the start of, or like actually it was several months in, but I bought this and I hung it in the background as like a not so subtle, like when I'm on Zoom, leave me alone, and people knew what I was doing. Like I would not blur the screen just so you could see that clearly in the background of meetings. And
That's awesome.
I've had multiple people like comment on it, like, I know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know
Yep.
what I'm doing. So it's right
You're
there.
right.
Uh,
Good stuff.
but
We
yeah,
got
it's,
what? One more week until Long Beach.
oh yeah, second favorite IndyCar race on the schedule.
Too
Yeah,
much content at the start.
yeah. I visited Long Beach and to attend the race. This was oh gosh, maybe like 6 years or so ago, something like that. It's been a while, but yeah, it definitely was an experience. Very hot, very hot. And then yeah, coming from Chicago, like kind of over the winter months, and now like you go into California and hit all the sun. Oh, I got burnt. I got burnt. And I had like sunscreen on, but like yeah, yeah, it was bad. But what a great time though. I mean, it's just yeah, it's kind of like it's in terms of like road courses or street courses, it's kind of like the Indy, of
It's
street
Indy West.
courses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
they called it
Yeah.
the Indy West for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
actually I was in California and we had a little bit of time to kill one morning and we were in Long Beach. And so what I did was I went up and I just drove as much as I could because some of it's a private parking lot, but I drove as much of the course as I could in my personal vehicle. It's just,
Very cool.
when you're going around the fountain, you have to go the other way because otherwise you're driving the wrong way around the traffic circle and that would not be good. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can drive all except for that last little stretch after you go past the convention center and then you turn into that lot. Like that lot is the only part that's not public road. And but you can publicly drive the rest of that yourself. And I made a video of it where my wife just held the iPhone up as we're driving through and we made a video and I put it
Sweet.
on social media. I'm like, "Hey, look, here's me driving the Beach Grand Prix course mostly."
That's what I did with Belle Isle, except I had to do it in reverse.
You got the still had all the tread. Actually, it's funny. You could see all the tire tread on the road, and this was like so the race is in April. I was there in like late June, and you could still
Oh
see.
wow. That's cool. That's cool. And you know what? Finally, how about it? Like, well, I'm not sure. I forget the exact time when iRacing finally finished Long Beach, but it was in that tech track state for such a
Oh
long
yeah.
time, for years and years and years. And so finally, when they finished it, it was such a great moment because
Oh,
again, like
it looks good too. It looks really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And
We finally got to host it as a broadcasted race for our league when we were still running it because that was kind of the thing like Race Spot and other broadcast companies they just that was their policy like we're not doing tech tracks and we're like we understand we get it
there,
and yeah so when it finally got finished it was a great moment yeah
which the only tech track left is New Jersey Motorsports Park. I
okay
think. I think is the only tech track left on the platform.
I haven't looked it's been a while but interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
It's nice to see they're finishing them.
yeah, that's the only tech track I'm aware of. I mean when they release it. Like it
Yeah.
looks great. And they have the the updated graphics engine that they've been putting in and these new tracks they're putting out and even they're going back and they're going to the NASCAR tracks and they just redid New Hampshire or they rescanned New Hampshire, which was one of their first oval tracks they scanned. Um where did Vegas, Homestead, Darlington, Eric, I feel like I'm forgetting one, but they're going through
Those are
and
the
they're
big ones.
rescanning. Yeah, they're rescanning all these tracks and all the NASCAR tracks and bringing it all up to, it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like, if you remember what Daytona used to look like in the early days of iRacing, it doesn't look like that anymore.
Right. No, it's great. It's yeah, I love to see, the tracks being updated and it just kind of keeps everything fresh and keeps it, as realistic as they possibly can, which is just a great commitment, from their part and
And adding
yeah,
like
it's a lot of
the
fun.
3D curbs and
Hmm.
all that those other little the dynamic debris, all these little subtle changes,
Yeah.
but it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, except for they introduced the dynamic debris and then they did the Rolex 20 or the Daytona 24. Eric, how much of the Daytona 24 did it rain in your
I think it
split?
was like 18 hours.
18 hours of rain.
Oh man.
I spent 6 hours of that
Holy cow.
heavy rain. Actually, no, 5 hours and about 45 minutes in heavy rain.
And so then, they just like the dynamic debris. This was kind of like the first big test of the dynamic debris system. And especially when you would enter the bus stop or the what do they call it? The Le Mans chicane now or whatever. It's the bus stop. Uh, but like people would cut that and you'd see all the debris, and we're just like, we're 5 laps into this, and it looks like a dirt patch. And it's like there's no cautions here. So when's that gonna clean up? And like the
Right.
rain cleaned it up, but it's like if it didn't rain, like you're gonna be driving over a big dirt patch eventually on that track, and that's really gonna screw things up. And they have like local debris cautions now, which is nice. So it's like that was a necessary fix. Like that
International Horseshoe is what caught me.
had a couple of moments in the that area.
And how about that, like these special events, like the fact that sim racing now, 24 hours at Daytona, how amazing. And then the fact that now again, I mean, I know like other sims have had rain, but I don't think again with iRacing kind of bringing it out, it's on a whole other level.
Oh yeah.
It's just cool that the progression that continues to take shape every year.
It's just like tens of thousands of people participating over the weekend, and the
Yeah,
servers stay up. It's just like just shows you just it's like it's far from perfect, but like they
right.
do a really yeah, and they get criticized a lot, but they do a really really good job.
Yeah.
It's like anyone who has any remote understanding of just servers and dealing, oh, netcode, that's a bad netcode. It's like you want to try matching somebody who's driving in Bulgaria right now with somebody who's in California and try to make that work. Like it's not easy.
Good
And I
luck.
think,
Yeah.
they do a really good job.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the Indy 500 special. I think that's the next one I'll be running.
Nice.
You want to do the double and then go do the Coca-Cola 600 right after that.
Mhm.
Yes.
I, I
We need
still
to
think.
talk and see if we're gonna do the double, not Memorial Weekend, but either before or after.
Oh, you mean an iRacing double?
Yep, with our league
Oh,
racers.
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, we do a fun race at the end of the year. We just kind of gather everybody. We do something silly or unusual, or just last year we did a multi-class race at Bristol where we put the tour modifieds on track with
Oh,
legends and the mini stocks
wow.
and ran 100 laps, and it was pure chaos, but it was
Yeah.
fun. But it's just like, it was fun. We're just all in a Discord together and everyone's just laughing it up the whole time. It's just like, okay, this was really stupid, but it was a lot of fun. And we
Yeah.
broadcasted the event, and just
I love that.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was, the year before that we did a multi-class race where we had the Gen 4, the accidental ARCA car. And then we did Craftsman Truck Series on the old Atlanta config.
Nice.
We had
And
the
Nice.
87s as an option too.
but nobody picked the 87s. I was kind of hoping somebody would do that, but yeah, we just do these silly things, and it's just a lot of fun because or you see these videos where we're gonna put GTP hypercars on Bristol and let them run,
Hmm.
and there was actually a I don't know if they fixed it or not, but you could actually, if you selected a car that had rain tires, you could put rain on the track. So they actually did rain on Bristol with GTP,
Wow.
and
That's
it
awesome.
it was about as chaotic as you might imagine.
Oh
But
yeah, I
The
bet.
full IMSA type cards, didn't they?
yeah, and the iRacing shared a video today about, it was like the commitment to the league, and they said that this IMSA league they were supposed to race at Circuit of the Americas, but the league manager accidentally selected Concord Speedway, which is
Oops.
like a half mile,
If
and they,
that.
they and they went with it. They just did it.
Wow.
They did their league race on Concord, and the video is just, it's pure chaos, and just
That's awesome.
hilarious that you can experiment and do these just wacky things too. It just adds an whole another dynamic to it.
Makes it
Yeah.
fun.
But we need to wrap.
Good
We've
stuff.
gone way long, but
Sure.
it's been a lot of fun. So Jorge,
Yeah.
again, the Sim Gaming Expo in Schaumburg, Illinois, outside of Chicago, September 5th through 7th. Where can we find it? Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on uh X, Facebook, and Instagram at Sim Gaming Expo, and then you can visit our website, simgamingexpo.com. And so tickets and information is all on the website. You can see our exhibitor list, our sponsors, as well as our floor plan. So you can see exactly where each company, where their booth will be. And if you click on the booths, you'll you'll see another information window pop up, get more information on the exhibitors, their websites and links. And so yeah, just stay tuned, like follow us on social media and check out the website, and everything's ready. So right now we're just working on the final preparations, but yeah, check us out. And if you have any questions, feel free. You can contact us through the website and we'll be happy to answer any questions people have. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for hanging out with us this
Yeah.
evening. It's I know it's
Yeah, thank
late,
you for
but
coming
really
out.
appreciate it.
It's all good. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So come check us out at FR Racing Online. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Eric, we got the Masters in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's actually coming up here next weekend. We're
Got
a
it.
week out.
We got a streak
Might
going of
actually
mentioning.
watch the Sunday final round.
We got the streak going where we mention the Masters on every episode. It started as an accident, but it's just become this thing now. So I
Some
had
of them were
to.
pretty good and subtle,
Yeah,
but
this
we
one we
did.
almost forgot, and I remembered last second.
Oh
So
no, I was looking it up. I was gonna be dropping it.
I beat you.
Yeah, you
All
got me
right.
on this one.
Yeah. All right. So Masters coming up here in a couple weeks. But at FR Racing Online on all your social medias, be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching it. And
Thanks for tuning in.
yeah,
Take
thanks.
care.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.